Blog Talk Radio.
Following ingredients include a look behind the scenes. Cook uncovered until hot. Add grooves to taste.
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl.
The accident was over a year ago. A second woman has been elected president. The 12th planet has been named in the solar system. The last wild polar bear has died. I slept through it all. I was here for my waking. He called it a beginning. He said it was good. I think he may have thought that anything I did was good.
Welcome to Transition Radio, live from Hollywood, Florida, with your host and hostess, Mark Angelo and Jessica Lynn Cummings. For trans folks, by trans folks, here to let your voice be heard.
Well, welcome and good evening, and welcome to another edition of Transition Radio. We've been having the weirdest weather. There's a little hurricane on the horizon. It's probably going to head up from Cuba and up, getting the bands and all that horrific type of winds and stuff like that. So we're going to be bunkering down. Tonight we want to thank, as usual, our sponsor, pornobay.com, an auction playground for all your adult entertainment needs.
Check their business listings,
Classified ads,
job openings,
forum and chat rooms,
not to mention their really cool merchandise.
So place your bid today at Porno Bay. We think we have it really bad here in the States. And mind you, this day and age, as evolved as the human race may seem to be, we're still lacking understanding and acceptance. Overall, this leads to heinous crimes, abuse, and bigotry, which brings us to a barbaric stage worse than what we thought we were before when we roamed the earth as cavemen. I read this tweet from one of the groups that I belong to in Facebook, and I decided we should share it on our show.
Hi guys, I'm Lisa, and I come from Macedonia, Europe. I work in an LGBT organization in which I'm coordinator of the transgender group. Yesterday in my country, a trans and gay person was attacked, firstly with words like gay, fag, you all are going to die, and then he was beaten. Then this case was reported to the police station, but they won't do anything just because there isn't a law about LGBT people in my country, and we are really unwanted here.
About this, my organization started a campaign in which we asked people from all over the world to help us and write down on a piece of paper that they support the LGBT rights in Macedonia. And if they're willing to write down their name and where they come from, if any of you guys can really help us, please just send me the picture in an inbox. Thank you from the LGBT United Macedonia. The name of the individual who's asking for this plea is Luka, and that's Luka, Ivani, or Ivano, which is Ivanov. You can find him on Facebook, friend him, and help him out if you can.
Definitely. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender LGBT people frequently face violence motivated by their sexuality or gender identity. Violence may be executed by the state, as in laws prescribing corporal punishment for homosexual acts, see homosexuality law, or by individuals engaging in intimidation, mobbing, assault, or lynching. Violence targeted at people because of their perceived sexuality can be psychologically or physical and can extend to murder. These actions may be motivated by homophobia or transphobia and may be influenced by cultural, religious, or political mores and biases.
No wonder that sheeples act the way they do when statements such as these from the Pope I think it's the 16th, the leader of the Roman Catholic Church states that protecting humanity from homosexuality was just as important as saving the world, catch this, from climate change, and that all relationships beyond traditional heterosexual ones are a destruction of God's work. Further, a Vatican official called homosexuality a deviation and irregularity a wound, while the Catholic Church teaches that same-sex attraction itself is not sinful. Homosexual acts are acts of great depravity. Homosexual congregation members are to be accepted and not discriminated against, but are asked to remain celibate. If you ask me, statements like this bring upon violence and segregation instead of uniting and creating acceptance of mankind.
Well, what about the Catholic priests and touching little boys? Usually Catholic priests are men.
Yes,
and they like to touch
pedophilia.
Little boys. So what does that say for them?
Do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly, and they say that it's wrong. But all right, even in countries where homosexuality is legal, most countries outside of Africa and the Middle East, there are reports of homosexual people being targeted with bullying or physical assault or even homicide. The United States does not have federal legislation marking sexual orientation as criteria for hate crime, but several states, including the District of Columbia, enforce harsher penalties for crimes where real or perceived sexual orientation may have been a motivator among these 12 countries as well. Only the United States has criminal law that specifically mentions gender identity, and even then, only in 11 states and the District of Columbia.
What year is it? 2012.
2012.
It's really blows my mind that in this day and age, we still have to fight for our rights, be worried for our safety. And it's global. I mean, Luca and his fleet. I mean, I guess we have to say that we're a little more advanced in the United States, but still, for 2012, you know what? I want to blame religion. Religion has created all these animosity, all these guilt-ridden things inside people. Those that are homophobic are hiding their own homosexual tendencies because they can't be who they want to be, so hey, let's beat up the gay guy. Or transphobic.
Same thing, you know.
It's crazy. Now let's talk a little bit about trans bashing. It's actually the act of victimizing a person physically, sexually, or verbally because they are transgender or transsexual. Unlike gay bashing, it is committed because of the target's actual or perceived gender identity, not sexual orientation. However, a trans person may be gay bashed if the person perceives them as gay rather than transgender. The term has also been applied to hate speech directed at transgender people and at depiction of transgender people in the media that reinforce negative stereotypes about them. The media has a lot to be blamed as well. Discrimination, including physical or sexual violence against trans people due to transphobia or homophobia, is a common occurrence for trans people. Every third day, a murder of a trans person is reported, and many murders are believed to go unreported. Hate crimes against trans people are common even recently, and in some instances, inaction by police here in the United States or other governmental officials leads to the untimely death of transgender victims.
And one of the most famous incidents was the December 1992 rape and murder of Brandon Tina, a young trans man who was raped and murdered by two male friends after they found out that he had been assigned female at birth. The events became internationally known when told in the feature film Boys Don't Cry, one of my favorite movies, by the way, which earned Hilary Swank an Academy Award for the Best Actress. At least since the Stonewall riots in 1959, transgender people have often been politically aligned with the lesbian, gay, and bisexual community. However, researchers and some transgender activists argue trans bashing should be categorized separately from violence committed on the basis of sexual orientation. Gay bashing. Anti-transgender bias crimes have been conceptually and characteristically distinguished from homophobic crimes in the scholarly research. One argument is that conflating violence against trans people with violence against gay people erases the identities of trans people and the truth of what happens to them.
However, campaigns against bashing and trans bashing are often seen as a common cause. In the United States, currently 10 states plus the District of Columbia have hate crimes laws protecting people victimized on the basis of their gender identity. They are Hawaii, California, Connecticut, New Mexico, Mississippi, Missouri, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Washington State, and Washington, D.C. The Matthew Shepard Act expanded the federal hate crime laws to include gender, gender identity, and sexual orientation. Now, bashing, hate crimes, all very terrible things. But suicide, you take your own life by your own hands because you cannot deal with the bullying, you cannot deal with the ridicule, and you just cannot deal facing another day and being mistreated by those around you. And usually a lot of that is people you love, your own family, which makes it very difficult. The LGBTQ young people often feel unsupported, isolated, and invisible. A hostile environment that often regards them as immoral or sick reinforces these feelings. Unlike other victims of oppression, the LGBTQ youth often cannot turn to their families for support. Indeed, the family may affirm the hostility of the larger environment, including forcing the young person from their home. 36.5% of the GLB youth grades 9 through 12 have attempted suicide. 20.5% of those attempts resulting in medical care. Gay and lesbian youth are 2 to 3 times more likely to attempt suicide than heterosexual young people. As many as 1 in 3 gay and lesbian youth have attempted suicide.
Reliable estimates indicate that between 4 and 10% of the population is gay, which means in a public school system of more than 1 million, like New York City's, there are at least 40,000 to 100,000 gay students. Schools should be a young person's primary center for learning, growing, and building a foundation for success in the world. Growing up and getting through high school can be challenging for any student, but LGBT youth too often face additional obstacles of harassment, abuse, and violence. The statistics are astounding. Nearly a fifth of students are physically assaulted because of their sexual orientation and or a tenth because of their gender expression. About 2/3 of LGBT students reported having ever been sexually harassed, sexual remarks made, being touched inappropriately in school in the past year.
You know, I remember when I went to high school, and this was when the dinosaurs were still around. Right, I won't date myself. But I graduated in 1982, so I'd say probably.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
1982?
Yeah, 1982.
You know what I was doing in 1982?
I can imagine playing with Barbies.
I was watching Captain Kangaroo.
And I'm sure. Yeah, 10 years difference. Yep. Anyway, it wasn't as, I like to say, as accepted as it is today, so I was very much ridiculed. I had a hard time making friends. I think I probably had 1 or 2 friends, and the 1 or 2 friends that I had was one, he was kind of gay himself, although he didn't really admit it, and then the other was the girlfriend who was heterosexual, was very curious. And everybody else, I kept to myself. I was very much a loner. And it's difficult. I mean, high school is supposed to be the best years of your life. You're supposed to really enjoy yourself. And to feel ostracized, ridiculed, and almost felt like you're an alien is really sad. And I could honestly see how people try to take their lives away because you just don't feel like you belong, don't feel like you fit in. And in saying that, there's this transgender study on suicide. It's based on a 30-year study in Sweden. And these were the results. We don't agree with what they are reporting, but we must report the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this is what they are saying, that transgenders do not evolve in the womb. The fact is, transgender are the result of unfinished gender development in childhood, and they remain in limbo. It's estimated that 1% of our U.S. population suffers psychologically from an unwanted gender identity issues that require extensive psychotherapy to treat.
Most everyone understands, it is impossible to actually change genders. All the medical or surgical procedures that have been tried up to and including today are powerless to cause a change in gender. But the new laws being passed to enable transgenders to assume a female identity ignore the medical and scientific impossibility.
The unrealistic expectation of man becoming women or women becoming men has consequences according to a comprehensive long-term Swedish study. The results are high mortality rates, elevated risk of depression, psychiatric illness, and attempts to commit suicide.
The Swedish study follows up on 324 post-operative transsexuals in Sweden from 1973 to 2003 and compares their outcomes to a control group. Unlike other studies that claim to follow up on transsexuals, this one is more credible because it spans more than 30 years and includes all the post-operative transsexuals during the period.
Most other studies draw a conclusion based on the small minority of patients because so many cannot be found, or the study only follows up for a short period of time, certainly not the 10-year average of the Swedish study. The conclusion of the study is persons with transsexualism after sex reassignment have considerably higher risk for mortality, suicidal behavior, and psychiatric morbidity than the general population. Other findings suggest that sex reassignment, although alleviating gender dysphoria, may not suffice as treatment for transsexualism and should inspire improved psychiatric and somatic care after sex reassignment for this patient group.
They also said, the evidence strongly suggests that transgenders need much more psychiatric care before and after surgery to alleviate depression and prevent suicide. Obviously, the surgery is totally ineffective at resulting coexisting psychiatric disorders, which should be treated first before treating the gender identity issues. Other studies have shown that a coexisting disorder may in fact cause gender identity symptoms. In those cases, when the coexisting disorder is treated, the gender identity symptoms go away. Yeah, okay, right.
So in conclusion, as for the study, transgenders do not need improved access to restrooms or jobs or more freedom and help to change gender. They need improved access to true, unbiased psychiatric care to lower their considerably higher risk for early death. Now,
Quack wrote that crap.
A religious quack, probably. You know, it's like you take a lot of these so-called studies and research, and you really can't believe what you read because it's so biased. I mean, I'm sure there was this freaking scientist that had some sort of transgender or homosexual tendencies, and he was like, bad, so I've got to find...
But don't the women in Sweden have hairy armpits and hairy legs?
I think so, but I think the men find that very sexy.
Maybe.
You know, like the French, you know, that also.
Yeah, exactly.
And whatever else, I don't know. But it's amusing to me, and that's why I bring out these studies, because this is the kind of medical, scientific world we're living in, and they're constantly doing all sorts of tests on us, not knowing from the chemtrails in the sky to the food that we're eating, and, you know, for all we know, we're some sort of experiment. And now it's like, oops, we've overdone this, so we've got to, like, try to get rid of them or something. And it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad that things like this take place. And because of all this religious, I hate to use the word, crap, and all these bogus studies, and you know, let me say one positive thing about the study, because I don't like to, you know, there are a lot of transgender individuals that have psychological issues and should probably have a lot longer therapy than they do. And they should have therapy after the surgery, because there are a lot of individuals that do commit suicide even after surgery. Yeah. The grass is not greener on the other side.
Right, but not all transgender individuals have any psychological problems.
I would like to say a good 90%. manufacture continue to make money, so that the independent bankers continue to rape us, and so that the corporations continue to enslave us. To me, politics is a circus, and both wings belong to the same bird.
The 90 minutes of this circus boiled down almost entirely to combating terrorist threats to America and American interests in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and elsewhere, combating the Iranian threat to Israel, and combating China's threat to U.S. trade. Does there seem to be any change in the BS we are being fed? Year after year, the circus continues. Nothing changes, and terrorism seems to be the main theme. To get their way into our privacy, take away more of our freedoms, and in the end, make corporations richer. Eliminate the middle class, and, well, I hope you know their acts.
Yeah, it's like a song and dance from 9/11 onwards. You know, it's never been the same, and it's all planned, sealed into the. And every year we play ping pong, and nothing gets solved.
Exactly.
And I don't like politics. I stopped voting after Bush the second time around. I'm like, you know what?
Does my vote really count?
Yeah, it doesn't. You know, it matters none. But we continue to be lied to, and we continue to believe it, or those that do. And I don't know what's going to happen. You know, it's crazy.
I think we should play our song because we're getting down, and we got 2 minutes left.
Just want to touch actually, we want to thank our sponsor, and since we've got the 2 minutes mark left, we were going to talk a little bit about relationships, but we rambled. Here's that 90-second woman again. Well, visit pornobay.com for all your adult entertainment needs. Place your bid today while the merchandise is hot off the press.
And you might even find a deal on a brand new draft.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, you're the one that wrote it.
I know, but I figured
we got to fire the writer.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Okay. All right.
Anybody looking for a job to write for Transition Radio, feel free to give us a call. Give us an email.
Yeah, I'm the one that writes everything in the show. Anyway, thank you guys for listening in one more night. And tomorrow night we've got Ryan Casada. Very excited about interviewing that amazing young man who's done a lot in his 18 years, and I really, really admire him. He's all about love and peace and bringing on the revolution and trying to change this world, and I have a lot in common with him. I just wish I was his age again instead of being a 48-year-old fart, but hey, what can I do? Anyway, guys, thank you so much. We're going to play a song that Jess and I wrote for this hate crimes and all the things that's going on in the world. It's called Gone Too Soon Through Hate. Hope you guys enjoy it. Have a fabulous, fabulous evening. Stay safe. Stay dry if you're in Florida, and if you're in cold weather, stay warm. 10 seconds left, and love you guys, but love yourselves too.
Good night and sweet dreams.
I am Jessica Lynn Cummings. I am a transgender female.
I am Mark Angelo Cummings, Jessica's husband. I am a transgender male.
We as transgender individuals face the possibility of violence towards us every day or worse. This is dedicated to all of the transgender individuals that paid the ultimate price for being themselves.
The statistics